do they pay the players to play in the Ryder Cup or not? That's like the big talking point in golf right now. Rumor has it American players are going to get paid. And of course, some of the European players came out and said, like, nah, we're just gonna. Rory, I think, said something like to the effect of, I would pay to be on the team rather than expect to be paid, which is something he can say because he is rich beyond belief. This is a good time to remind you to follow us on Instagram. We're going to hit 1,000 followers by the end of the year. So that's going to be sick. Doing a lot of posting on there. If you guys already are watching us on Twitter, damn, forgot to thank you. Should have thanked you at the top of the show. 6,000 views on last week's TGL episode, which is
Thank you.
outrageously cool. Outrageous. Also, the European team doesn't make anywhere near as much, like DP World Tour, European Tour, they don't make anywhere near as much money as the PGA of America does. They don't have that excess amount of money to spend on their players anyway. So I guess the real question is, if players get paid, does that lessen the event for you, Teach?
Yes, it does. They should do it for the love of their country. Because I don't think I know you said something about Rory saying that he would pay to play. Like, there's the European players getting paid to play in this?
Currently, it doesn't sound like there's any rumor or expectation that they will. Currently, no.
I bet you I know who the players are that are bitching about getting paid. So they could probably replace those guys easily with guys who would do this for getting $3,000 that they don't really appreciate. So,
but is it really about the $400,000, or is it about the 4.1 that paid to get that Ryder Cup coverage? And where does that money go? When people talk about sports salaries, they always say, A-Rod's overpaid or blah, blah, blah is overpaid. I can't believe that this contract, $60 million a year, whatever, Patrick Mahomes. There's so much money in that event. And if you're going to give it to someone, doesn't it make sense to give it to the players? I don't know. At least some of it.
I get that part of it. Like, they're the ones out there bringing viewers in, right? That's what makes it fun. But you're also bringing in entire countries because the love of this event. That's the sparkle behind it, It's more pride for your country than it is for a dollar. But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's just like any other sport. You get paid for what you do and who brings it in, But it's a tough one. If I was a player, I wouldn't care to get paid for it either way because I feel like I'm doing it for my country. And I have an entire country behind me. And I feel like that, playing for that, means way more than playing for money. Do you agree? Most of these guys, 90% of these guys, 100% of these guys don't need the money, like you said, but it is a pride thing.
Do you think Derek Jeter takes less pride in his World Series championships after he got his big contract? Or
no, but I think
Tom Brady, 40 million,
playing
whatever.
for his state and his fans, I think it's different than playing for an entire country. You could say you're the world champion, but when you're just playing, besides some Canadian teams, you're playing just for, you know what I mean? You're playing for North America. You're not playing for the world, even though it's called the World Championship, the World Series, the whatever. But I think it's huge playing for your entire country. It would fire me up more to be able to go out there and say, I'm playing for my country. My whole country's behind me and we're going to beat up on, Europe, rather than saying I'm going out, I'm making 15 million. I would. And I'm talking if I had millions of dollars, you know what I mean? These guys all have contracts, endorsements. They make plenty of money on the tour. Yeah, for me, it'd be like the grit behind playing for your country. It's a question of what do I feel, or should they get paid?
I mean, it's a lot easier for us to say they shouldn't get paid than they should, because we look at them and we're like, they have enough money. But maybe it's not about, like, everyone says this is about the money. Maybe it's not even about the money. Maybe it's just like, respect the fact that I am making you so much money, billions, millions of dollars. Like, show some respect to me. Don't think I'm just going to appear and do this out of the goodness of my heart, because no one just goes to work out of the goodness of their heart to,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Off of what you're saying? I don't know the answer to this, so I apologize if whatever, but do Olympic athletes, besides endorsements and being paid for outside stuff, make money?
They do. It's very small. I mean, it's not like, it's like their expenses. If they win a gold medal
So they're putting all of their time and their effort into representing the country and going out and grinding harder than a golfer will. Do you agree with that? Some of these swimmers, all these things, like, dude, they're putting their bodies on the line, do or die for their country. And if they're not making a ton of money, they're doing it for the pride of the country. They're doing it for a lot more than a monetary, reward. in my opinion. So it's similar. I feel like certain things you can get paid for putting your time and effort into it, and other things you can just be thankful and proud that you're there.
I think if it
What
wasn't,
day is it?
well, I think
It'll come through.
if it wasn't about the fuck you. If it wasn't about the money, none of this would have came out about the money. You know what I'm saying?
So wait,
No, you're right. I mean, if it wasn't about the money, then no one would be talking about the money. But the only people who ever complain about professional athletes or athletes in general making money are the people who don't have professional athletic skills. Those are the only people who ever complain about that. You never hear another athlete. Like it's actually very rare that an athlete like Rory McIlroy would say would rather not get paid. Like you can very rarely find that, mostly because all these players are in unions and things like that around the world, and the unions represent them, and they would never go against the union. Things like that. Golf obviously doesn't have a union, which has hurt the players in the past. Look at their media rights, at their tour card statuses. Look at just kind of how much the PGA Tour has made them play for free. I think there's some hostility from some of the players who watch other multi-million-dollar corporations make multi-millions of dollars off of them in 1 week at the Ryder Cup. I'm sure that has a lot to do with this. And I think making it sound like it's going to cheapen the experience is kind of weird, because every Super Bowl champion got paid to play all season long, including in the Super Bowl. There's bonuses for the teams that win the championships in every sport. So it's strange. Like the guys holding the Stanley Cup up at the end of the year, no one talks about the 250 grand or whatever the team's going to split for the Stanley Cup championship. It just always seems weird whenever like athletes start to get money. That where would you rather that for? Yes, you'd rather that $400,000 go to feeding kids in some Middle Eastern country that we're bombing for no reason. You know what I mean? Like we'd definitely rather have that, but that's not an option, right? It's not an option. So would you rather Subway get the money, or would you rather Michael Phelps get the money? You know what I mean?
But isn't it bullshit though that they want to charge what $750 to go, and these players?
Oh, it's crazy.
Why don't you take some of that $40,000 and give some people tickets? People that can't afford to go to this thing, want to go to this thing, tickets. You know what I mean?
I think that's the best point. That is the best point about the money. The best point about the money is the average fan can't get in the door for this event, because the PGA of America this is their moneymaker. This is where, this and the PGA Championship obviously are their two moneymakers. So only every 4 years, because they split, the DP World Tour takes the European events and the PGA of America takes the America events. Like this is their big moneymaker for the next 4 years. So they are going to sell the tickets to the highest bidder, which is terrible. This happens in every sport too. This is not a golf only thing. You go to a football stadium, you go to a Dallas Cowboy game, it's all corporate people watching the football game, because they're the only people who can afford the seats. You know what I mean? So the same thing's happening in golf. I don't think that lessens the experience for us watching it who aren't going to be there, but you definitely make a great point that if they can pay the players $400,000, they can charge less than $750 to get in the door, for sure. All right. Well, I think we agree that it's hard enough to figure out who should get the money, because you don't want the PGA Tour, the PGA of America lining their pockets. You don't want the DP World Tour lining their pockets at the expense of the players. And you don't want the players lining their pockets at the expense of the fans. And you don't want the sponsors lining their pockets at the expense of the players and the fans. You know what I mean? So there's just, when you're dealing with this much money, it's not as straightforward, and don't think as it should be. Ryder Cup, Ryder Cup news today. And there's a bunch of LIV players who are going to be playing on the DP World Tour in 2025, including our man, follower of the show, Sergio Garcia, back in the DP World Tour for the first time since 2022, which is sick. The way the LIV schedule works out, they're going to get to play probably 4 out of the 5 Rolex Series events, which is going to be awesome, because those are the big points getters, the big money makers for the DP World Tour. And so that is massively huge news for golf. It's going to be sick. Hopefully this little opening night, and this is huge. Hopefully there's a big, huge deal that obviously the DP World Tour saw the error of their ways, probably cut some kind of deal with the fines or whatnot for these players, and said, listen, man, I mean, if we can have Sergio, Rahm, Patrick Reed, we have these guys showing up to our events every single, not every single week, but once a month or something like that, because they see these guys going to the Asian Tour events, and you see like Dean Burmester playing in the Sunshine Tour, DP World Tour has got to be, or Cam and Lucas Herbert playing in Australia this week. The DP World Tour has got to be like, oh my God, like what did we do? We messed up, right? Like we messed up. So hopefully this gets Sergio on the Ryder Cup.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Again, I think it's just crazy that you always want to see the best players playing against each other, and that's just how it should be. If somebody is the best player for their country or the best player to be in the tournament, it should just be that way. You just see him more, bro.
I wish it's not going to come out that way. Like the edit isn't going to come out that way because it records him separately. But yes, I watched him go from just being up close to the screen, and then he had a cigar lit.
No, it's down here. Just having it. It's okay. You should see the faces getting on your head, and you should just keep breathing.
I'm sure it's great. Speaking of faces, you look beautiful right now, Michael.
Thanks. I'm tired.
You look tired.
Jay, is this the first time? Is this the first episode you've done with me with rubber bands in my mouth?
What happened? Somebody break your jaw?
No, I got those teeth pulled.
A little baby teeth?
Yeah, they're gone. Those are fake right now.
Wow, they somewhat finally fit your mouth.
Nice.
No. These are not real teeth. These are just little chiclets. They're like in the little tray. Yeah, they're like in the tray. So if you take these out, I look like a Halloween pumpkin.
Dude,
I'm not doing it on the show. There's 0%
the
chance I'm doing it on this camera.
Take your shirt